Dear participants, thank you so much, and thanks to the panelists of this panelist discussion. This is a very important session because this is the way forward what we are going to mention in our proceeding of this 3 days conference. So I'll request Mr. Nasir Shah, Director General of Quality Assurance Agency, HEC, to just announce the question on which the panelists will start debate, and then the participants, you will play your role so that how we can further improve our quality assurance system of education and research. So Nasir Shah sir, please.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dr. Asiya, thank you very much. The honorable panelist here and the participants. Since we have been discussing this framework of quality assurance and various aspects of it, and we have been listening to various presentations since, for the last 3 days. Today is the concluding day. Sir, we have discussed a number of issues during these last 3 days, and wonderful discussions among the participants and wonderful presentation by the speakers, both nationally and internationally. To my understanding, out of all these discussions, usually the focus is the student. So for the panelists, I would like to propose an area of student engagement in quality assurance. How can we do that? What steps can be taken? What's going on in our own context? So these are some questions. Students' engagement in quality assurance. So
we would like to take the feedback from the respectable question that was made by Dr. Ziaul Haq. Jacob, would you like to give your feedback first, please?
Yes, thank you very much. That's a good news, let's say, for me to reflect on this topic, because of course I've been mentioning it quite times here. It's I think, good start to and a good center to summary it all and start from the students' engagement in here. Definitely, personally, when I'm observing the changes in the potential framework change when it comes to the PSG principles, in a sense, just speaking about the framework, it's good that the presence of student-centeredness and the notion of it is there. What is really behind it? Of course, it's always a second question. So considering the students' engagement, we have to talk about 2 things. First of all, the general understanding how we really perceive students as a partner in co-creation of our systems. That's the philosophy of our operations. So before we go really into measures, how we're gonna do it, what are the tasks, what would be the steps and the certain ideas, the first we have to start with the philosophy of partnership with the student as an equal actor in all of this. If you want to achieve the system of higher education, it has been proven that that students as an equal partners are making the community of higher education thriving. There is more motivation from both sides. Teachers are more motivated because their students are enjoying the fact that they are being taken care of, and their development is at the center of the functioning of the institution. So that starts with really the philosophy. Also starts a bit with the autonomy and the agency of a student. The agency, what I mean, is the self-determination and the possibility to self-determine their actions, their existence in the institution. So that's the starting point, yeah? And here are with the philosophy. What about the quality assurance and involvement of students? That could go, and that has to go ideally on the different levels, because we are both speaking here about, in the PSG idea, about external quality assurance and the internal one. Of course, the institutions are at the core of everything. External quality assurance is just to check whether you have an idea to take care about your processes. As I was saying in a keynote yesterday, it's not about doubling up the same check, but rather checking whether institutions are taking care of the standards that are set there, but not really interfering in the exactly idea of flexibility, flexible approach, and the centeredness there. So at the institutions, for all of you responsible for quality assurance mechanisms and ideas of students' involvement and stakeholders' involvement broadly, I would really start with thinking how to make the student participation sustainable from year to year on. So find the partners inside the students, either organizations, unions. I know it's not so simple when it comes to the organization of the students' movement here, but I'm sure you can define the dedicated students that wants to work for a good of your institution. With those students, it's necessary to design the training measures with them, to talk not only what we want from them, but how we want to work together. Yeah? So how to equip students with the skills enough developed to be a participant, because we cannot simply expect them to come to you with the questions, with the proposals. You need to equip them first. So organizing the trainings, onboarding activities, telling them at the beginning that you can really impact, and it's welcomed that you impact the situation on the universities, is a starting point. Then trying to put those students in an exactly dedicated students to the good of the institutions. Ideally, if that the same students afterwards would create a community that they would find another ones year by year. Think about, for example, soft ideas to encourage that. I don't know, onboarding camps, onboarding sessions, to joint trainings. Just if the 1 year of students leaves the university, the second one have to go, but they already have to know the concept that they can, yeah? Because it's always a starting from the beginning. It's not working then. So think about these measures of onboarding, of involvement, and of putting them into every possible process that they really want to be engaged with. And then that would ideally convey to building the capacity of the external check. So ideally, if the framework and the idea for external quality assurance will allow for it, it's about involvement the students on the external level. It's good, for example, when the external students trained well and in the quality assurance processes, then is interviewing, for example, students at the institutions. That's a very common practice in many realities, that external quality assurance audit or review committee is involving students in the same equal participation in the panel that goes to the institution and checks it. And it's very proven that it's completely different reality when students is asking for real problems to the student rather than somebody top down is asking what's really there. We are talking here about the culture of course, fear, some doubts of expression of what we want to address. It's a completely different quality of content when students are talking about the students' issues together, and then they could, with the full respect and trust, convey this to the reality of the whole panel, and that contributes to the overall situation. So that's the third point. That's the next level also to involve those students in a different manners. I'm talking a bit long in this, but I would start really with capacity building and organizing this participation, equipping with the right skills. So figuring out, for example, the schemes that you can multiply on the different institutions, how to create this movement, how to create these skills within the students to participate in this. So yeah, thanks for that topic. I think that's a starting point. Looking forward to other looks on the topic. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Jacob, for your insight. Now I would like to request Professor Dr. Ziaul Haq to please give your feedback, sir. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I think Jacob has very briefly and very nicely explained whatever was in our mind, and he first started from the larger canvas and then focuses to the micro level. I think really nicely sum up this. We all agree the students should be involved. We are there for the students. The universities are there for the students. We believe that yes, the involvement at this level, for example, we have syndicate, we have Senate, academic council. I don't see students there because we have banned the student organization there. So the student involvements are there, but it's limited only to the timetables, exam delay, exam issues. Really, in the quality assurance part is lacking, and that's what Jacob mentioned that we need to train them. We need to train them first on the program level review and then also on the external review. I think it's an excellent point, and I totally agree on this, and inshallah we will work on this, whatever you have pointed out. So I think we need to involve more and more students, but we need first to do their capacity building and then take this important task from them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Ziaul Haq. Now I request Engineer Muhammad Ismail Saab to please give your kind feedback. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I fully agree with both the colleagues. There is no doubt that once the students talk to the students, we can get the best possible feedback from the group of the students who are being asked the questions during the external quality assurance measures. But as Professor Ziaul Haq also agreed and supported the idea that first we need to train them how to behave while being part of the review panel. I have some exposure of international accreditation process where the students are empowered to go to the other students and ask the questions from them. And there is a very, very thin line between meeting with them and getting the answers to their questions. And the questions have to be very, very reasonable in that case. It is not only useful to ask these students to be panel members for asking the question from the students only, but they will be trusted by the other members of the community of the university, like some faculty members may share their thoughts with the students openly as compared to sharing their thought to the review panel, which composes of the external members. Because they are from inside the university, they will be able to get the maximum benefit of the interview sessions, which is an essential part of any review process. Moreover, their involvement in the statutory bodies of the university is also very important. And HEC also sometimes questions us that whether the students are part of your board of studies or board of faculty or not. As I said, I have some exposure of international ranking, the international review of the accreditation process. The universities, they have participation of the students in their statutory bodies, and they are very, very useful kind of participants or members of the review panels. At the same time, getting the feedback internally from the students for improving our quality parameters is also having a lot of significance whenever we take the processes of quality assurance forward. There are universities where even the syndicates or academic councils have the membership of their students. And as stressed earlier also, once they become part of these bodies, they have been seen behaving in a very mature level. And at the same time, their representation is the best representation in these bodies, which can help to improve the parameters of quality assurance in any institution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ismail Saab, for your kind insight. Now, I would like to request the Chairman of NTC Higher Education Commission, Engineer Syed Imtiaz Gilani, for your feedback, please.
Thank you very much. I will stay with this notion that students are the center of all we do in academia. They are why we are here. So to say that it should be student-centric, nothing could be farther from a wrong statement. Students are the center. They come as raw material to our institutions on one end. We work our magic on them, and we send them out as a finished product. Now, if that product is not acceptable to the market or not useful in developing Pakistan, we have done something wrong. Saying a student body is good or bad is facile. So to me, the entire academic process is like a factory in which raw material, young students, inquisitive, bubbling with wanting to learn, come to us. We say things to them, we do things to them, and we send them out to the market. So I couldn't stress this more. They are the center. I totally agree with my colleagues. In Pakistan, in most of the decision-making bodies, they have no representation. I think that should be encouraged with a caveat that they should not have political leanings which can sometimes disrupt normal procedures. So with that, I will not take more time because I'd love to hear people who've got questions which we can possibly answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I would like to request Professor Dr. Mahmoodul Hassan Bhatt to please give your feedback. Thank you.
My colleagues here on the panel have shared with you some very important ideas. All I can say, if a university is a heart of a civilization, then students, faculty, and administration of that university are the heartbeat. And this heart can continue to beat if our students are exposed to all kinds of standards that come to them from the faculty, from the domestic Department of Education, as or their faculty, or from the international standard-laying bodies. So basically, quality is compliance with standards of the institution, by the students and faculty, of the accreditation councils, international, national. They lay the framework of how we can create quality product, as my friend called here. We both have been involved in this effort for a long time. But fundamentally, I'll share with you, the standards are coming to us. First, from within your institution. That's why the new framework calls for internal institutional statements, then reports that you develop that show and demonstrate quality. But then we go beyond the university, and the university students have to be knowledgeable about their programmatic accreditation. In engineering, PEC has done that. In medicine, PMDC, and now, as we learned last week, with the International or World Federation of Medical Education. For undergraduate medical education and graduate medical education, the World Foundation has developed global standards for preparing the future doctors and future professionals in that field. And if we don't know their standards, then obviously our programs are not going to be of the quality which will enable our physicians coming out of our medical schools to be able to go and practice either in their own country or outside. So PMDC has taken this bold step. World Federation has granted our accreditation based on their visits, based on the standards compliance that we show, so that our medical doctors will be able to practice anywhere in the world, particularly where the World Federation standards are there. Let me add one more thing. You may get an impression that standards compliance is a new thing. It's not. 1455 years ago, the greatest teacher of the world taught the young ought to be creative, critical, constructive, and communicative. Note down these 4 C's: creative, critical, constructive, and communicative. And the book that he left with us had 4 questions, which are designed primarily for our faculty and for our students and for our accrediting bodies to develop the standards. And not only those standards, but also compliance with them. Those 4 questions: Afala yatafakkarun. Why don't you reflect about this grand scheme of things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created for you? Second question: when you reflect about that, you refine your answer to the second question. Afala taqilun. Why don't you use your aql, wisdom, reasoning ability? And when you do these 2 things, you are on your way to quality implementation. Third question: Afala ta'amelun. Why don't you seek knowledge? And knowledge of standards is important. Knowledge of accreditation is important. Knowledge of how you implement your activities in your classroom according to compliance with those standards in your field is important. Seek that knowledge. Fourth question: after having done afala yatafakkarun, taqilun, ta'lemun, then you come to the 4th question: ta'melun. Why don't you act upon them? So quality, my friends, is not just an empty word. Quality assumes that we shall prepare a product who will be able to respond to these 4 questions and thereby create the product for the market. They will be able to deliver. They will be creative. They'll be constructive. They'll be critical. And they'll be able to communicate. That's the kind of quality we want to have in our heart of civilization we call universities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Mahmudullah Sanbat, for your kind information. I would like to request Mr. Nasir Shah to open the floor for another question, utilizing the last 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know it's a very important area where my honorable panelist can talk for hours on this topic. It's very close to our heart as well. But still, the question is how to do it. We know that it's required, but how to do it? Do you think we need a policy at the university level, a mechanism at the university level? Or do you think the policy is missing, is because of that we don't have an active, effective student engagement? It's because of the policy is missing? Or do you think we have to have a policy first, and then again, do you think we need to do a capacity building exercise for our faculty, administrator, and the students to actually engage these students into the quality assurance processes and practices? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to request Jacob to give your feedback, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That's a valid question very much. I would say one thing, or two, actually. Because we all know that empty policies are there in the world, and sometimes they're not being followed or just not serving any goal. You know? So starting with a policy for somebody without somebody might not be the best idea, because creating something with an assumption of how it could look without actually onboarding students before might be quite tough. But also it's tough to look for somebody just out of the blue and try to create a policy with imaginary partner at the beginning, right? So let's talk like this, that it should go in parallel, but there should be some basis on the policy level at the beginning, in my opinion. And speaking about the institutions, what usually works for is a minimum basis of involvement, and sometimes also even separate statutes for student affairs. For example, if you are having topics like, I don't know, scholarships, student services, offices, and so on, if you add to this the involvement, structural involvement, either in the governance bodies and so on, that's a framework that have to be fulfilled. And then that is the problem, of course here, as I'm saying a problem, but like really an obligation for institutions to fulfill. And then starts figuring out like how to do it in perception. So in parallel, that should also be a task. And what is another usual practice? There are usually people dedicated to those things in the institutions, either like a vice dean or vice chancellor for students' affairs. I'm not talking that now every institution has to create one, because we don't want also administration overburden, but definitely there should be some management responsibility to create all of this process holistically on the level of institution. If somebody will be just tasked, or you as a quality assurance people in the institutions, just, okay, create now the student engagement within your institution. That's almost impossible task to do without a management empowerment on the institutional level, because we will be looking around the campus trying to find dedicated students and hopefully building a community out of it. I don't think that's easy to do. So the minimum baseline is a policy, in my opinion, like policy inclusion of those students by numbers, either when it comes to the committees and co-creation on the responsibilities, but indeed in the policy of institutions. But second of all, the all parallel supporting actions has to be taken as a strategical approach and fulfilled not by one person, not by the quality office, but by the departments, by the institution itself. If that's a mission statement of the university that we really want to include students, then we need to show it, to prove it. And also, policy in the level of just involving couple of people here and there in the policy is a minimum. But therefore, usually what is feasible is a separate either policy on student engagement, policy on student affairs. You know? Those documents are often the big strategic documents for institutions, and taking care about things such as student services, involvement of students in quality assurance, per se, involvement of students in the program development, all these housing issues, all the scholarship issues, and so on. So that's a whole stream that really deserves the holistic attention, you know? And from out of these people, you will also find ultimately you will find some dedicated people to do the quality assurance. But do not look at the students' involvement in quality assurance as an ultimate goal. That will come naturally when students will feel that they can do it and they are welcomed to do it on the institutional level. It's not the ultimate goal, yes, now we have students, we are fine. It's the outcome that will come naturally. If they will feel that they have a space to do that, to improve their universities, it's that. So I would really start with imagining this and conceptualizing this in each of your institution, whom would be the good person to start organizing it, both when it comes to potential student being interested, how to make it even across the student population to have as much representation from the different faculties, getting people engaged, but also from the staff, from administration side, who would really take care about this process in a partnership long term, not just being tasked and like, oh my, now I have to organize the whole student engagement in a university, but something really strategic, you know? So that should goes both. But yeah, policy basis at a very organic level helps, because then it's an obligation, you know? So that would be obligation. If to put more basic engagement, that's of course obligation, and then there is a really strategic and conceptual task to do it, to achieve this engagement further. But it has to go in parallel. Just the empty policy will not work, and just non-sustainable cooperation will not work without the policy. That's the answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jacob. Now I would like to request Professor Dr. Ziaul Haq for your kind feedback, please.
I think the time is changing, and we all, the administrator and the teacher, should recognize it. We are no more, like the typical role of a teacher. You are a facilitator. A student sitting in front of us is access to the world knowledge, whatever we have produced, and just a click. So it's a difficult time for the teacher as well. I remember when I was doing this certificate course for the medical education, and the first day I entered, and the first day in the class, and a dear friend Usman, and he said, when you enter into the classroom, what is in your mindset? So like our mindset is that student will listen to me, they will stand up, they will call me sir. The point of attention is all towards, the teacher center. And I say, yes, this is what in my mind. I said that this is now to be changed. This is now student center. So everything is going towards the student center now. So we have the class representative. We take some feedback, but it's the time to really formalize it. Our director academic of Health Medical University, Dr. Ziluma, is here, and we already requested her to bring changes into through the Inamli committee and make student be part of every committee. It is board of study, it is board of faculty, it is finance and planning committee, academic council, syndicate, and senate. Once they are there, then I really took the idea from Jacob now that we need to train them first on the quality assurance, and we formalize then I think they will give a very useful feedback to us, which is all required. Thank you.
Okay,
Sorry,
I have been just...
If I may just a short advocem. That's exactly the training and skills is a component of it. And what I would just add to it, it works the best when students are taking, well, ultimately you will have a group of students that have a ownership also of this training procedures for the next years and so on. So it goes automatically later. Because the training just top down, okay, now we will provide you the training, and not only in quality assurance, but about the general concept, that's empowerment and engagement, because quality assurance is one of the, just the quality check of all of this, what is the core. But it works well when the students are also after a couple of times. So if we will achieve the starting point, they would also continue it by themselves. So it works well when there is a partnership afterwards, that the students community in partnership with university will teach the new generation together, yeah. So courses being organized together. We are missing this. We are missing this. We need help from from the institutions on this and this, but not just now. It's a training for people to be engaged. But that's the starting point, because if they don't know, they even start, of course. But ultimately, the idea is to have a continuous cycle, because that will be easier for everyone. For you to have engaged students, for them to onboard their colleagues when they come, the new ones, for the agency to have potential experts, and so on and so on. That's then it's a sustainable solution.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. Actually, we are just getting close to the closing ceremony, actually. So I've been told that the honorable panelists would take some questions directly, and then maybe some of you would respond to that. So just to catch up with the time, I would request for two or three questions maximum, please. Professor Jangir from Malakand University.
Auzubillahiminashaitanirrajim. Dr. Jahangir from University of Malakand. I am working in QC from last 12 years, and what we have visited throughout Pakistan. The problem in Pakistan is not the policy or the standard, but its implementation. So the ecosystem and the facility available in Islamabad, at Peshawar, at Karachi, and that facility available at far-flung area of the Pakistan. So how we can cater this standard policy, which is same for Islamabad and for the Karachi, as well as for the Bajaud or the Sibbi or the Gawadar. So problem in implementation, so being an academician, how we can cater. One is the practical solution, just what we are doing things right. And what has been discussed here is the right things. Thank you.
Dr. Saab, the question is very valid. No doubt about that. But throughout the world, once we look at different countries, all the universities do not have the similar stage or space available to them. Similar resources are not available to all the universities. Same is the case with the Pakistan. And at the same time, we who are working on those universities where the resources, the faculty, and the other facilities are deficient, there naturally the responsibility come over the administration and the faculty to do their best in their own capacity and deliver whatever knowledge or whatever expertise they can give to the university, give to the students. I mean, we cannot have the level playing field at every place in Gawadar or Turbat or say Gilgit or Islamabad. This difference has to be there. Let's be realistic. Same facilities cannot be provided at the university, at all the universities in the country. This is my point of view, but I would request my senior colleagues if they can add something to this.
I think the thrust was not in the infrastructure, but how to implement policies. Was that the question?
So the question was that how can a similar standard be applied to?
Yes. Look,
one size fit all.
I just traveled your Swat motorway. I was as conscious of that fellow flagging me down and hitting me with 750 or 5,000 rupees as I am from Peshawar to Islamabad. So to say it cannot be implemented, I very humbly disagree. Perhaps people like HEC should have 4 eyes watching people like you, distant universities, who think they can get away with things. So I think policy is implementable. It's just a matter of having oversight. These quality assurance instruments that we have been probably talking about for 2-3 days, perhaps they need to be sharper for places which are not easily accessible.
सवाल है आपसे, क्या यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ मालाकंड की फैकल्टी स्टूडेंट्स के पास पाकिस्तान एजुकेशन रिसर्च नेटवर्क है? पर्न है ना? अच्छा, ये एक ऐसी टेक्नोलॉजिकल इंटरवेंशन है जो सारी यूनिवर्सिटीज़ को अगर इस्तेमाल करें तो इक्वलाइज करती है। इस पे जाके आपको जहाँ का जो इस किस्म का नॉलेज चाहिए वो मिल जाएगा, वो एक क्वालिटी पैदा करेगा। तो अब हम जहाँ पहुँच रहे हैं, ये सवाल जो आपने किया ये थोड़ा सा मॉडिफाई करने वाला है कि जो रूरल एरियाज़ में जहाँ स्मार्ट क्लासरूम भी चले गए यूनिवर्सिटी में, 100 से ज़्यादा बन गए हैं, है ना, जहाँ पर्न भी आपको मिल गया। मैं आपको एक छोटी सी कहानी सुनाता हूँ। अब प्लेटो का नाम सुना हुआ है? उसने एक छोटी सी एकेडमी बनाई थी एथेंस में, जिसमें 7 लिबरल आर्ट्स पढ़ाता था वो, लेकिन बच्चों की तरबियत करता था। उसका एक स्टूडेंट था, बड़ा मशहूर स्टूडेंट वो भी। उसका क्या नाम था? अरस्तु का नाम सुना आपने? प्लेटो एंड एरिस्टोटल। ٹھیک ہے جی. وہ ایک چھوٹے سے قصبے ایتھنز میں یہ اکیڈمی چلا رہے تھے. تو ایرسٹاٹل نے جب وہ گریجویٹ کرنے کے قریب تھا تو اپنے استاد محترم سے کہا, سر, my parents brought me from the high heavens to this earth. You have taken me once again to the highest level of knowledge domain and skill domain. I have reached that point where I can disagree with you. کہ آپ کی فلاسفی آف آئیڈیالزم جس میں آپ کہتے ہیں کہ آئیڈیاز آر پرماننٹ, باقی ساری چیزیں نہیں, آئی ڈس ایگری ود دیٹ. اب ایک استاد کے طور پہ وہ یہ بھی کہہ سکتا تھا ہاؤ ڈیئر یو, لیکن اس نے کہا برخوردار یو میڈ مائی ڈے. یہ استاد ہے جو لیول کرتا ہے. انسٹرومنٹ, ٹولز, ریسورسز آج جو آپ کے پاس اویلیبل ہیں ان کا استعمال شروع کر دیجئے تو کریٹیو, کرٹیکل, کنسٹرکٹیو اینڈ کمیونیکیٹیو پروڈکٹ پیدا کریں گے آپ. تو اب یہ گلہ جو ہے نا کہ ہمارے پاس یہ نہیں جو اسلام آباد میں ہے وہ جائز نہیں. ذرا ان کو استعمال کیجئے. انٹرنیٹ پہ جائیے گا پن کے کنیکٹیوٹی کے ذریعے تو یہ کہانی آپ کو مل جائے گی, ڈھونڈیے.
تھینک یو سر, تھینک یو ویری مچ سر. دی ایشو جسٹ ایک کویشچن ہم غور لیتا. آئی تھاٹ وی شیل ٹیک 2 more questions, بٹ آئی تھنک وی آر گیٹنگ کلوز, سو ویل ٹیک 1 more question. لیکن جہانگیر اینڈ فار دی آڈینس, یہ جو ہمارا نیا پی ایس جی ہے,
آواز آئی تھی,
سوری, اچھا, اوکے, جینڈر بیلنس ہیئر, رائٹ?
Hello, sir. Sir, I am Sayar Ahmad from a very remote area of district Bajor. جس طرح سر نے بتایا ہمارے کالج میں, سر میں بیسیکلی فرام دی کالج ایز اے فیکلٹی ممبر. سر ہمارے کالج میں ابھی BS ہم پہ امپوز کیا گیا. ہمارے ساتھ ایک سنگل کمپیوٹر بھی نہیں ہے اسٹوڈنٹ کے لیے. اور دوسری بات, ہماری کالج جو انوائرمنٹل سچویشن میں بالکل کمپلیٹلی تباہ ہو چکا تھا. صرف بلڈنگ بنا ہے, اس میں نہ لیبس ہے, کچھ بھی نہیں ہے. لائبریری کے لیے بک ابھی ہم نے خریدی ہے, لیکن یہاں کے اسٹینڈرڈ اور وہاں کے اسٹینڈرڈ پہ خواہ فرق ہوں گا. کس طرح سر آپ ایگری نہیں کر سکتے؟ تھینک یو سر.
اوکے, اس پہ بات کی جا سکتی ہے. یو آر رائٹ ان یور اون وے بیکاز یو ہیو آبزرویشن, یو ہیو ایویڈنس فار دیٹ. بٹ لیٹ می ٹیل یو, یو آر ایفیلیٹیڈ ود مے بی یونیورسٹی آف بونیر. آپ ایفیلیٹیڈ کالج ہیں یونیورسٹی آف بونیر کا؟ اوکے, so we'll convey this to the University of Bonaire to take care of you because they are responsible for the academic quality and everything, right? Although there is an issue of, as Imran Marwat in the morning, they mentioned few challenges. Those challenges are there. As far as the affiliated colleges are concerned, I am also aware of that. But that's why we have a separate standard for this time in the new PSG. We have a separate standard to address these issues. This is one of the issues, but there are many other issues as well. We know, we are aware of that. We'll take care of that. Thank you very much for a question. Lastly, I would like to say, as in PSG, in the Pakistan Standards Guideline on Higher Education, we have said it earlier that the universities have to adopt a contextualized approach actually. In Malakand, for example, or in Dir, or in Swat, as the honorable panelist has already mentioned this, you have always guidelines, you have always standards, you have always principles, but you have to contextualize. So this contextualization is very important. That's where the new PSG is focusing on. So it's more flexible standards. That's why we moved from the previous framework of quality assurance to the new framework, because this flexibility was not there. Thank you. Secondly, sorry.
Thank you very much for our kind panelists, for your kind feedback. I would like you to request to remain seated while we move on towards the closing ceremony. And for the closing ceremony, I would like to invite Dr. Aisha Rehan to host the event and take it further. Thank you very much. Thank you.